Good morning. All righty. All right. So yesterday, no, I want to look at a 5-minute chart here for a minute. Well, before I go there, look at the weekly charts are amazingly starting to break out weekly charts. And of course, we're going to see, going to keep going. Now, hold on. All right. Chart should be up. All right. So give me 1 second here. Yeah. Okay, good. All right. So we're going to look at a few, but Um, so the theme, I say, okay, is going to be a blow off here. Maybe it is, but based on the weekly chart, and we're starting with the NQs here, which they were lagging yesterday, and we'll look at the ETF because they certainly didn't move as much as the others. But previous week was a bottoming tail bar, retesting prior bottoming tail bar. A buyer stepped up there. You can see the cursor on the daily time frame. To go over to the other week. Um, And as of today, this looks like it's ready to make a move higher. So we always look at patterns, right? We're price pattern traders. We look at what preceded the current bar. In this case, a 2-month consolidation, right? Month and a half, right? Whatever, right? From July. Here was this reversal running in place, two buying on the dip bars, and a continuation up. So it's right near the prior high. You can see right there. So the weekly time frame is up multiple bars in a row. Right? Um, so when you say multiple bars in a row, that would suggest, okay, it's moved a certain distance in a relatively short amount of time. Maybe it's ready to rest, of course. So going into next week, well, first of all, we'll see if this continues higher today. Um, there's no pivots here. And we want to say, okay, that's the middle of this range. And any pullback should be contained within here. And since yesterday was a let's just call it a bar with authority, a convincing bar. It opened down here, closed up there. And ideally, it'll stay in the upper half of this bar, or give or take somewhere in here. All right. So bullish trend sideways to up, right? It's retesting this major resistance area. Hasn't broken out convincingly yet, but expectation is based on yesterday's price action, it should happen, right? 60-minute chart sideways here, consolidation buyers on the dip. Let's look at the 5 for a second here. All right, that's overnight. And yeah, so yesterday was a pretty choppy day, back and forth here. For the Qs. They just couldn't really get going. And you say, why? Well, you know, we had part of this conversation in the room yesterday, in that, Apple, right, didn't do much. It's on that major support. You can see it down there. So this would be interesting to watch to see how it holds up here today, because it could be in play next week to move higher since it's at major support. Just going to go through the fangs quickly here. Um, Google is the strongest, right? Just consolidating there. It's a little extended, and that's likely to pull back. Meta has been Why isn't that changing? Come on. Oh, I see what happened. It looked great this day. I thought it was going higher based on the pattern. Topping tail green bar down. It's still viable to move up. We got to see if that will turn around. And you see, it's just not doing anything here. Pre-market. Amazon, another one that isn't participating. So you say, why aren't the Qs going up? Well, the big dogs in there aren't doing anything. So we'll see if that can turn around. It's up here this morning, which you can see, not in any major way, but it is gapping to the high of that little tiny bar there. Netflix, right? Down day yesterday. And so all of these really not participating. But I don't have time to get it under the hood of everything. But there were some big movers in some of the semiconductor stocks. The best looking one is Tesla. That looks great. I mean, take a small position in this, put a stop below this low, you know, whatever. Buy 5 shares, 2 shares, 10 shares, whatever. And let's just hold on to this into next week and see. It's got plenty of room to go up. So if the markets are going to advance and possibly get that blow off scenario into the options expiration and the Fed announcement next week, this should go. Right? It's a beautiful pattern. Weekly, daily, looks great. Today might be an inside day where it consolidates the gains. It's not doing anything right here. Um, Now, while some semiconductors did great, the 800-pound gorilla, right, isn't doing anything. It's in a consolidation. It's down here a little bit this morning, down at yesterday's low. So that's putting a cap on things a bit. And Microsoft, another fly in the bullish ointment, uh, down in the middle of the range of the bearish wide range bar. Now, the pre-market here is up. Just looking here. Wow. Okay, so that is up at the top of the wide range bar. This is exciting, meaning it's gapping up here, up at the 50 in the top of this bar. And, you can see the cursor on the 5 minutes down a little bit in the middle there, but if this can hold on to its gain, and this is in play next week, Apple moves off of that major support area. Meta gets turned around, right? You got to be looking at, besides Tesla, the mags, right? We prefer getting things on top of minor support and a rising 20, but this is a continuation pattern right here. So this could continue to move higher. And that's in alignment with everything I'm saying. As I'm looking at this, is in alignment with the potential for a blow off next week, which would, not theoretically, but historically can often coincide with a options expiration. So that's what we're going to be looking for today. What follows through, what consolidates, what holds on to its gain, like the Microsoft. Does Tesla consolidate at the top of the wide range bar? Does Apple hold on at this major support? So all of these things we want to see start coming together for what potentially can be an excellent opportunity next week. So you can see the MAGS wide range bar up here, the consolidation. So while on a short-term basis, we look at things that have moved up over the course of this week from last week, and maybe they do, maybe they don't need a little more of a resting period, but having consolidated for several weeks, it supports a bias that these can go higher. Now, one of the things when we were talking yesterday about, the Qs and them going up, take a look at the equal weighted. So we've been talking for weeks about the breadth not moving up. But if we start getting a broadening of participation, which is why I'm looking at the equal weighted here, and they participated yesterday, what'll happen, right? So let's go with the blow-off theoretical, right? This moves up. This will be one way of saying, hey, what's going, without looking at everything going out in the markets. If we see equal weighted Qs, RSP, equal weighted S&Ps, well, into that options expiration, breadth is going to hit an extreme. Right? Now that's the upper part there. And these put call ratios, sentiment will go to extreme and take advantage of next week as it unfolds. Because after that, our internals come into alignment, whatever moves up, not that it'll happen on the day, but we know what happens historically. A correction will follow. So it's all good. All right. Looking around other markets, crude oil is working on a bullish 180, right? Within after a breakdown. So we'll see if that turns around. Gold is up again. Well, that's just consolidating. GDX, like these gold miners have been outperforming gold futures with the price of gold. But this winds up consolidating after getting extended. So that's acting bullishly. The Russell, I had a good day yesterday. This is on overnight. Let's put this one is not on overnight, but you see the bullet, weekly is bullish there. But you see yesterday, this is without the pre-market data, just had, is this today? That's today. Yeah. Yeah. Let's do this. Hold on. Time templates, style templates. Okay. All right. Whatever. So big up day, into resistance, likely it's going to stall. Right? So today may be a consolidation day that sets up the move for next week. Futures, they're stalled here. S&P futures up at resistance there. We looked at the Qs. YM's down a little bit, but finally broke out of this consolidation that we've been monitoring. So typically you get a 1, 2, 3. We'll see if it holds the upper end of the range. So no Fibonacci measurements, no Elliott waves, no blah, blah, blah. Just like whatever. Theoretically, if it's all bullish, historically, it's going to stay in the upper part of the range here today. If it dips down, it'll form a bottoming tail bar, minus support. So all looking good. All right. Even the transports participated yesterday. So transportation stocks, look to the left, it's on a pivot, and turnaround day. I know there's the resistance, so we want to see how it deals with that. But overall, this is another plus, right? So we've been talking about the pluses and the minuses have been, turning into improvements of pluses. Like on Monday, we're talking about the software sector retesting this low, and can it turn around? And it came roaring back this week. So another plus. Yeah. Home builders, with interest rates lower, they started moving lower. That looking excellent. Well, it's a given, Robert. Half or a quarter. I haven't looked at that CME watch tool yet, but our measurement of what the Fed is doing, what theoretically what they're going to be forced to do. Why is this like? Oh, okay. Forget this black stuff, guys. The move down from here all the way down there and under 4% would suggest they must be considering a half. Right? I think a quarter is a given. Everybody's thinking they're going to do a quarter. Might they do a half and try and jumpstart whatever? If they should even consider not doing anything, the market would probably have a mini crash. So there's such a high expectation that they're going to do something, and everything falling into line with that. So I suppose it's just going to be one or the other. Yeah, half a point could definitely fuel the blow off, and we could have um, a rip roaring day to the upside on the announcement that'll get sold into. So we just have to watch and see. Yeah, panic buying, Alex, or it could be. It could be a panic buy. What we call a climactic buy. Yeah, so yeah, fear of missing out, all of those kind of things after we see laggards moving up. And well, yeah, if they do a half a point. So, we've discussed this recession idea because of interest rates coming down like that, as they have, with the 10-year coming down as it has. Let me go back to the weekly chart here. And I've mentioned this, why are interest rates coming down? Well, if if as far as the economy or inflation and gold going up, the two of them aren't aligned with each other. That makes sense. But maybe it's manipulation. Who knows? The not the government needs to refinance interest rate high. I don't know. I mean, we just look at the charts and we say, look, the 10 years down here, it's coming down to major support. The 13 week is down. The 30 year is also down, and it's got room to go down. And so with interest rates moving lower, people can go buy a house if so inclined, refinancing, people taking advantage. The more difficult thing is if they cut half a point, many that, not that it's like, the 80s, or when short-term interest rates were 20%, but compared to the last couple of years where people were like, okay, let me go put some money into a 6-month or 9-month, interest rate account and be able to get some yield. That's in part starting to go away. But so, it cuts both ways. In any event, like today could be a resting day. Did I find templates? It's not 24-hour. I don't know why this isn't filling in, but I already did SPX. The numbers and things haven't moved much. So, here's today's numbers. This is above 6,600. Resting day up a few days. Option traders always, go over the top, so to speak, with bidding up ridiculous levels. You might say, what makes it ridiculous? It's within striking distance. Well, it's above the whole number. So, after moving up like that, consideration of a resting day. I don't think it'll get there, but it sure as hell ain't going down here unless some disaster happens. And just remember this inflation expectations at 10 o'clock to be aware of. All yours, Dan. That ran a little late, but sorry.
Good morning. Also, consumer confidence at 10, I think we're in. It's Friday, 0 DTE. The reason we haven't had many on Friday is because the VIX is so low. I mean, we find the patterns, no problem at all. And then I go and look, and I'm like, 7 cents? Are you kidding me? Oh, thanks, Robert. Yeah, Oracle. Yeah, I said in the morning. Well, actually, today's Friday. It's on Wednesday. Started off strong, and we were patient. We watched it. We said, we are going to hit you today. It's just a matter of what the picture looked like. And yeah, And I love those. And then shoot, what was that other one that gapped down $100 that I was watching but didn't turn and it gapped up yesterday? Not SanDisk. Darn it, does anyone remember what that looked like? The symbol. Yeah, ML30s just breakout left and right. So it's just I got it in here somewhere, but I'm not gonna waste time looking for them. All right, ton of alarms going off. Diamonds. We bought that yesterday. BWXT. We bought that. Breakout, a downside shakeout, beautiful weekly here. My up alarm went off. Shoot, I just lost my alarms. I had to reboot my big computer. It locked up. ESE closing breakout, beautiful 180. I lost my list of alarms because my computer's reopening. But I, off memory, look at HYMC. We're in this as a core long gold stock, beautiful weekly monthly. We like into a $6 covered call. So my $6 went off. Look at that. That bottoming tail is real. Look at that morning downside shakeout. So we have to consider you know, buying back the short call if we don't want to limit our upside. But we make that decision with the chart. RBLK, RKLB, Rocket Lab. I sold puts on this yesterday that expired today. It sold the 45.50s for a dime. 45s. I did two different lots, so that looks great. Greg mentioned this cure yesterday. This is the leveraged healthcare ETF. EAT. We bought the stock and sold puts. I sold two different strikes. I sold the 150 and 145. Lays, 180 reversal. I nibbled on that yesterday, so up alarm went off. Bye-bye. I mentioned yesterday, I wanted to see how it closed. I sold $5 puts though that expired today. So as of right now, that looks good. Let's watch that on the pullback to get in. That'd be an ideal 30-minute long high. SUI bought a half lot yesterday into the close. Another 180 breakout. Kava, we're short a half lot. You can add yesterday's low, back half. Hertz, we have long calls, up alarms going off, looks good. Another 180 continuation. Silver, we're in. Full rectangle breakout, gapping up. Silver looks fantastic. Roadrunner, we bought yesterday as a core long again. Look at the weekly monthly. I mean, this thing could go to $6. Be a double. So that looks good. We bought over the red bar. And let's have XVTE alarm go off for myself. And then this with Alex. And I guess that's my alarm. Let's go to earnings now. I did 3 earnings myself, and they're all working great. Adobe, can you believe I got $1.10 for selling the 480 calls. No, 470 calls. 470s. I mean, look at 470 on the weekly. And could it go there? Of course it could. Of course it could. But it had an expected move. Here, let me type this out. Expected move of 28. and I sold them a hundred. I sold them 120 higher. So that's 4x higher. And I got $1.10. And then I also sold the 275s. So, that's, I'm just gonna let that expire worthless. Yeah, I didn't see you yesterday afternoon, Sam. I was in a hurry because you got to remind me that's your job among many others. RH, I did two different nakeds, Sam. I did the 170s. I did the 170s and the 160s or 165s naked. So I'll just let those go out at full profit. I love doing them on Thursday because then you got one night of risk with the gap and then just let them go out worthless or pay a penny. But as of now, a new trade, I don't know, maybe 0 DTE, 30-minute high. Farm. I was hoping this would turn into a 1, 2, 3, but now it's a bearish gap. OCC 920. I was also hoping this would be a 1, 2, 3, but it's gapping up a little bit. I was trying to sell puts on this, but it's not optionable. Rent 650, bearish gap, nothing to do. Our fill 804, bearish gap greater than 100%. No, my bad. I'm doing too many things here. Greater than 60%. And I just had an RH up alarm go off, which is good for my short puts. I just had a coin alarm go off. A coin, I like. We shorted puts on that on yesterday, and we got our money in one day. But this is looking like a possible directional here. Let me put coin here in the bottom right. That's great. Back to earnings. So our fill, nothing. This, I said, I hope that it opened flat. And then, because that's a nice closing breakout, but gapping down, so no interest. KMTS 1950, it's too sloppy. And Sam, I did this one. I should have given this one to subscribers. Sam, look at the 25s. 25s. You can't even see them down here. And I got 70 cents for them. Again, could it have gapped to 20? I'm in huge pain. Of course. But we make the decisions. You need an edge, and our edge is the chart. But this one is 7 days away, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to bid a nickel on this one because it's worth a nickel to me, not to have to babysit it for a week. And I just got filled immediately. So you know what I should have done is see if I could get one of those free put spreads and buy a higher one, but it's mute. All right, Meadow low alarm. Are we in this? I know Amazon. No, Meadow. Yeah, Meadow, we're in. Let's give it a 5-minute low. This is one that Greg mentioned, relative weakness. All right, so those are all the earnings. Yeah, we got stuff. We have a half lot of Meadow. Yeah, we were in Amazon actually stopped us out the other day. That was a beautiful breakout. And then bam. All right, so just chilling here. Meta's the worst. Whoa, that's an ugly fall. Man, Meta's tanking here. Amazon's actually a bear 123 on the daily, but in an uptrend. But that could be a zero DTE. If you can do the 232.50, but I wouldn't do it here. I'd wait 5-10 minute low. Apple bouncing. Tesla looks great. We had a put spread on that we met our target in one day. Microsoft still a big old mess. All right, Meta bouncing here. Google. All right, HYMC. This is our core long gold. Let me see. Let me see what it would cost to buy these $6 calls back would be 45 cents. So it's a judgment call. What do you all think? Should we buy our calls back? Buy our calls back, or they expire in a week. We're short the $6 calls. XPEV up alarm. No one's going to help me. Gee, this is a gold mining stock. Oh, I'll wait 30 minutes. Shorting diamonds. I'm not quite sure I see that pattern. XPED looking a lot better now. It's still in this small little range, but I like 15-minute breakout. Meg, I have an alarm. It's still not doing anything. Lays. I bought this yesterday. Bottoming pattern. Wow, that's a bear gap that bullies. Wow, that's a bullish pattern. So yeah, I'm just letting mine go out at full profit, particularly because you can't get out at a penny. All right, this thing's a mess. I'm sure I could get out at a penny. Let me see. All right, so this one I'm gonna buy. I'm gonna buy the 280 puts for a penny. So now I have a free put spread to hedge my short puts, just so I don't have to babysit it. And on the short calls, same. I'm gonna buy the 427.5 calls for a penny. So I got $2 for the whole thing, or thereabouts, maybe $1.90. And so I just hedged it at 2 pennies. I will take that all day long. All right. Meadow now, 5-minute below. 44.22. We have a half a lot of Meadow. Go through all opens. Hewlett Packard. I just don't like the market direction right here, but it's another breakout of a bull rectangle. Thomas looks good. I'm hoping today is a boring inside day because then we'll have a 1, 2, 3 galore for next week. Look at
Diamonds in the Russell on the 5 minute under today's low, the 5 minute low, they should go lower. Especially the diamonds. They consolidated almost all day, all afternoon, and so they got a void below. Long consolidation under the 5 minute low. It's a scalper short.
Got our peg gapping up.
Q's breakout failure. It's on support. So
Oh, we're eating actually get down. Yeah, Q's selling off here. Amazon Meta are the ugliest. Google pulling in, maybe that's it's not ready for a call spread.
Meta has an unfilled gap down below to 735.
Nothing good from yesterday. Stop break even now. Yes, it was 665.
And look at Dan. Anyway. Look at the advancers minus decliners. This is a huge jump from one day to another, which it jumps from one day to another. But yesterday it closed like at what, plus 1700 or so, and then it opens up down below minus 500. So I'm not looking at individual stocks, but it's a lot of stuff must have opened much lower.
Totally. Bye-bye. Came in a little hard. I got the $2, the $5 puts that expire today. I should have closed with the open. A bit of nickel to get out. Sandus. I bet there's a very high probability we short a call spread on this next week. Set a new alarm at 83 and 87.
The Russell working on a bull sandwich. Yeah, 5 minute. 5 minute bar is not done. 2.5+ minutes to go on it.
Yeah. Wow, that daily looks fantastic. Yeah, Don, I did 3 earnings trades. I sold the 25s on this for 70 cents. And I just put a bid out for a nickel at the open because it expires next Friday. And I got filled instantly. And I should have given, retrospect, should I have given that to subscribers? Yeah. I mean, look how freaking far away 25 was. I mean, this gap is scrunching up the data, but it was far. All right, I'm gonna continue with opens. Dash, we're still in trail mode. Sounds good. I did a put spread. I got $1.10 for a $5 wide put spread. Wow, I'm already at 45% of max profit. I think I'll bid a little lower. That looks great. Can, her little marijuana stock looks great. Dan, don't forget about Dan, looks great. Dash, we just looked at. Eat, BSC, we have break even. Looks great. G Pro looks great. Oh shoot, I must have covered mine or sold mine yesterday because I have done flat. Darn it. I don't have any G Pro left. Let's move the stop here. 185. Yeah, we have call options that expire next week.
Russell trigger. Dow.
No, we met our first target of $1. This thing, in fact, you could have got 115 on that rally. All right, so we cut that short.